The government is doing everything it can to keep the visits of UFOs a secret, but two common civilians are about to discover the truth about aliens visiting planet Earth. A French scientist named Claude Lacombe arrives in the Sonora Desert, Mexico, to investigate an unusual occurrence. Several fighter jets that went missing during World War II have suddenly appeared in the middle of the desert overnight. Lacombe secures the services of a man who can speak French and translate for him, and begins investigating. He has the workers check the engine numbers on the plane, and sure enough, they match with the fighter jets that went missing. The translator is bewildered by the fact that these planes are supposed to be several decades old, but they appear brand new. He is further confused by the fact that the planes are back, but the pilots are not. Next, Lacombe arrives to speak to a local man who saw the planes appear the night before. He notices that half of the man's face is sunburned. The man says that he saw the sun come out last night and it sang to him. Neither Lacombe nor the translator know what to make of this. At the Indianapolis Air Traffic Control Center, a flight reports that they are seeing a brightly lit-up flying object heading toward them, and ask if there are supposed to be any other flights in their path. The people working at the control center confirm that there are no scheduled flights in that area, nor is there any military exercise going on. However, they can see the object on radar as well. They ask the pilot what type of aircraft he sees, and the pilot reports that he can't make out the outline of the object, but it has incredibly bright red and white lights alternating. The flight narrowly avoids collision with the flying object. In Muncie, Indiana, a little boy named Barry is sleeping when all of his toys suddenly turn on, causing him to wake up. Barry goes downstairs to find that the front door is open and all the food has been taken out of the fridge and thrown onto the floor. The doggy door is also swinging as if someone or something recently passed through it. Barry's mother, Jillian, also wakes up due to all the commotion. She looks out of the window and sees Barry laughing and running toward the open field, as if chasing or running from someone. Panicking, she goes out after him. In the city, a man named Roy is spending the night with his wife and kids. Roy's wife, Ronnie, is unhappy with his careless attitude toward the kids and his marriage. Roy, who works for the power company, gets a call from his boss, Earl, who informs him that power outages are being reported all over the state and that he is needed in the field. Roy gets in his truck and hits the road. Meanwhile, Jillian is still searching for Barry in the woods because he got a significant head start on her. Roy stops his truck at a railway crossing to look at his maps, and another car comes up behind him. He signals the car to go around, but unbeknownst to him, the car gets lifted straight up into the air. Suddenly, Roy notices some mailboxes nearby shaking violently. He points a flashlight to observe what's causing it, but it suddenly turns off. The truck, and everything in it, turns off unexpectedly as well, and suddenly, an incredibly bright light shines right on top of Roy's truck. He tries to stick his head out to see the source of the light, but it is too bright for him to look at. The light flashes multiple times in his face. Then, everything in his truck starts flying all over the place rather violently, and the nearby railway crossing signal also starts shaking. All at once, the light turns off, and everything stops shaking and flying. Roy looks out and sees a UFO flying away. The flashlight turns back on, and so does Roy's truck. He hears on the radio that he is not the only one who has experienced this phenomenon. One man reports seeing a UFO on a particular highway, and Roy quickly drives in that direction. Several police cars appear to be heading there as well. Barry has also managed to reach the very same highway, and he encounters some child molesty-looking people. Fortunately, Jillian catches up to Barry. Just then, Roy comes driving down the road and narrowly misses Barry, who is saved by Jillian. As he stops to apologize to them, 3 unmistakable UFOs come flying up the highway, followed by police cars. Roy quickly gets in his truck and follows them across a toll plaza into Ohio. One of the police officers following the UFOs doesn't pay attention and accidentally drives off the highway, while Roy and the others stop. Half of Roy's face where the UFO shined the light earlier appears to be sunburned, just like the Mexican man from earlier. Roy and the police officers watch the UFOs fly off into the sky as the power turns back on all around. Roy returns home and excitedly tells his wife and kids to wake up, saying he has to show them something. Ronnie doesn't understand, but reluctantly gets in the car with Roy and the kids. She tells Roy about his half-sunburned face, but he is too excited to care. He brings Ronnie and the kids to the same spot on the highway, hoping that the UFOs might return, but they don't. Ronnie entertains Roy's story, despite not believing a word of it. She then decides to take this moment to try and reignite the romance in their marriage, but Roy is far too occupied with the UFOs to be present in the moment, even though him getting some is probably as rare as a UFO sighting after having 3 kids. Next, just like in Mexico, a missing ship named Cotopaxi turns up randomly in the middle of the Gobi Desert in Mongolia. Ronnie reads in the newspaper that many people have spotted the UFOs in Indiana, and she cuts out that story because she doesn't want Roy obsessing over this. Meanwhile, Roy instinctively creates a shape in his shaving cream, which he can't help but feel is familiar to him. Ronnie advises Roy to not delve into this UFO nonsense and strictly warns him not to encourage their children to believe in it. Roy is upset that Ronnie doesn't believe him. Ronnie gets a call informing her that Roy has been fired from his job because he didn't report to where he was assigned during the power outage. This worsens her already terrible mood. Lacombe arrives in India, where the locals have reported hearing a tune from the sky, and now they are all chanting the same tune. He shares this finding with other experts at a conference and teaches them hand signals for every note in the tune. He adds that they have reason to believe that this tune is important in the grand scheme of things. The next night, Roy returns to the highway, hoping to see the aliens again, and he's not alone. Jillian arrives there too, and the two compare tans. Roy notices Barry building a mountain from clay, and he realizes that this is the same shape he's been seeing and instinctively creating all day in shaving creams, pillows, etc. He tells Jillian, and she also instinctively starts building the mountain. Roy says that he has a strong feeling that this is something important. Lights are seen in the distance, but instead of UFOs, they turn out to be military helicopters clearing the area. Lacombe and a team of scientists send out the tune they heard in India into the sky as radio signals, and in return, they receive radio transmissions containing numbers that turn out to be the coordinates of the Devil's Tower Mountain in Wyoming. In Indiana, Jillian is drawing pictures of the same mountain over and over again. She steps outside to take out the trash and notices a massive storm approaching. She notices the lights of the UFOs inside the storm and quickly rushes inside and locks her doors and windows. The lights try to enter through the chimney, and she closes that too. Then, something opens the vent underneath the floor, and Jillian rushes to cover it with a rug. Electrical devices in the house start turning on by themselves, and everything starts shaking violently. Jillian panics, and during the chaos, Barry sneaks out through the doggy door. Jillian grabs his legs, but something or someone pulls him from the other side. As soon as Barry is abducted, the commotion stops, and the UFOs leave, with Jillian desperately screaming and running behind them. Jillian gets a lot of media attention after reporting this incident, and Roy shows up to support her. Roy sits in on a meeting of the government and military representatives with media personnel and regular people who claim to have seen UFOs. The representatives make it clear that there is no hard evidence of the UFOs, and the people who saw them could have very easily been misled by some other object in the sky. Roy tries to argue, but to no avail. Ronnie is not very supportive of him. The government and military believe that Devil's Tower is where the aliens will make contact next. They start devising ways to clear the area's civilian population without drawing too much attention. Something like spreading the news that there is a virus or a gas leak in the area. Meanwhile, Roy continues to make the same mountain in different things like mashed potatoes, and his family now believes he has gone completely crazy. Roy becomes increasingly frustrated because the image is stuck in his head, but he doesn't understand what it means. He builds bigger and bigger models of the mountain. Meanwhile, his family starts falling apart because of his obsession, which they do not understand. Finally, Ronnie decides to take the kids and leave. The government decides to put out the fake news that a train carrying dangerous chemicals crashed near Devil's Tower, Wyoming, and now the area has to be evacuated. While the news report is shown on the TV, Roy sees footage of Devil's Tower and realizes that that is the mountain he's been seeing and building. Jillian sees the same report and has the same epiphany. Both of them head toward Wyoming immediately. As Roy arrives at the location, he finds that he's the only person driving in, while everyone else is trying to get out. Military personnel tell Roy to go back. Among the herds of people trying to evacuate, Roy reunites with Jillian. They realize that they won't be able to take the straight road into the region, so they decide to break some fences and drive through the countryside. Finally, they reach close enough to see the Devil's Tower mountain. They see horses and cattle lying unconscious on the side of the road and decide to put on gas masks just in case there is an actual gas leak of some sort, even though Roy is sure that it's all a front to keep people away. A little way down the road, the two are captured by military personnel, and Roy is brought to Lacombe. After Roy reveals everything that he's experienced in the past few days, Lacombe reveals that he is not the only person who's been through this. He shows Roy pictures of other people who have reported seeing the mountain and feeling compelled to be here as well. Roy is put in a helicopter with the other people who've had visions and come here because of them. Lacombe tries to argue with the military that there is a reason that these people are here, and that it can't be a coincidence that they've all had visions of this mountain. But the senior military leader says that they cannot allow civilians to stay here. Meanwhile, Roy, Jillian, and a man named Larry escape from the helicopter and head toward the mountain, much to Lacombe's delight. While the trio climbs the mountain, the military decides to use a sleep aerosol to knock them out, which is the same thing they used to knock out the horses and cattle in the area. The military helicopter spots Larry, who is slower at climbing, and sprays him, while the other two manage to make it to the top unharmed. When they reach the top, they discover that the government has set up a base here. They hide and wait for the show to begin. 3 UFOs are spotted arriving in the distance. They arrive and hover in front of the base. Lacombe's team plays the tune that they heard in India, and the 3 UFOs respond by playing the same tune. They leave, and the scientists congratulate themselves on a successful communication, but unbeknownst to them, this encounter isn't over. A storm forms in the distance, and out of the storm, hundreds of other UFOs emerge. Roy says he has to go down to the base and get a closer look. He and Jillian share a kiss and part ways. Next, an enormous mothership emerges from behind the mountain. The mothership settles in front of the base, and the scientists play the same tune again to communicate. The mothership copies the tune and then plays many other tones for humans to copy. One of the scientists deduces that the aliens are trying to teach the humans the basics of their language. Then, a door opens in the mothership, and from inside, the pilots of the fighter jets, the crew of the Cotopaxi, and all the people who've ever gone missing in UFO-related incidents emerge. The scientists note that all these people are still the same age they were when they went missing. No time has passed for them, which means that Einstein's theory of relativity is correct. Barry is among the returning people, and Jillian rushes to hug him. Finally, an actual alien emerges from inside the mothership and greets the humans. The adult alien is followed by lots of alien children who come out and observe the humans. Meanwhile, Lacombe advocates for putting Roy among a group of candidates who have been selected to go aboard the UFO as human representatives because he believes that Roy was invited here by the aliens themselves. The candidates come out and stand in front of the mothership, and sure enough, the alien children choose Roy to come aboard their ship. Roy is so incredibly happy at this that he completely forgets the fact that his wife and children left him only 1 day ago. As the adult alien is about to leave, Lacombe does the hand signals for the tune, and to his surprise, the alien responds. The ship flies off with Roy in it, while all the scientists, government officials, and Jillian and Barry watch in awe. The end. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.